All right. So I'm Joshua Faulkner, Farming and Climate Change Program Coordinator, and I am discussing and showing a monitoring station that is on the east branch of the Dead Creek. That is one of several monitoring stations that we have set up in a couple watersheds within Addison County, studying water quality. And so before I talk more about the project, I want to acknowledge our funders who have been very supportive of this project. This is funded by USDA, NRCS, Natural Resources Conservation Service. And this is part of a large nationwide program they have called CEAP, which CEAP acronym that stands for Conservation Effects Assessment Project. And so UVM and my program in the center, we're very fortunate to have be recipients of the first funding for a CEAP study in the Northeast in maybe 5 to 10 years. And so these are projects around the country that really aim to quantify the effects of all the good conservation practices that farmers are doing on agricultural lands at the watershed scale. So we do some field scale work. We also do some experimental plot scale work at the research farm, that type of thing. But it's very rare to be able to try to study the effects of practices in aggregate at the watershed scale, and that's what this funding is allowing us to do. And so the way the project works is that we set up these monitoring stations like you're looking at here on a couple different stream reaches, and then we monitor water quality through time, both base flow and storm event flow for years even. This is a 10-year project, which is, again, if you're familiar with how funding usually works for the university and from the USDA, 10 years is very rare. So we're very happy to have secure funding for that long to do this type of work. And so we will go through multiple years of monitoring, and we'll deeply investigate the data, dig into it, run models, and try to assess and tease out not just if all these conservation practices are having an effect, but to what degree they're having an effect. Are they improving water quality, and are they perhaps even affecting the hydrology, how much water runs off the landscape during certain storm events. And so it's really exciting work for someone like myself, as a soil and water engineer, to be engaged in this. And so the stations themselves, I should talk about those a little bit since we're looking at one. This is one of those stations, and there's a fiberglass structure there that's mounted on a wooden platform beside a bridge, and we always monitor at bridges because they have a concrete cross section. It makes it much easier and much more stable to measure flow where there's a concrete channel rather than in an earthen channel, which can move and shift over time. And so we have automated equipment inside that fiberglass structure, which uses the amount of flow to determine how often to take a water sample. And so those samples are collected in a carousel in an instrument inside that building. And then myself and my technician, Matt Kelting, visit the station after a storm event, collect those samples, take them to the laboratory, and analyze them. I have lots of partners on this project. The USGS, federal agency that does stream flow measurement all over the country, they're working with us to do our stream flow measurement here, where we're doing the water quality work. We're also receiving laboratory support from the Vermont Agency of Agriculture, Food and Markets, and we also have significant cost share funding from Vermont Agency of Natural Resources, DEC. And so just to kind of sum it up, we're very excited about this project and what it might tell us about the success of conservation programs and conservation practices on farms, and even more so to what extent they might be building resilience to climate change in our watersheds.